All right. We're ready. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the East Ascension Drainage District Number 1, March 10th, 2008. I'd like to have call roll. Do we have anyone absent?
Mr. Thompson's absent.
Mr. Adrian Thompson. And Mr. Todd Lambert. I'd like for everyone to please stand so we can have an invocation. Mr. Valentine.
Heavenly Father, we are thankful, Lord, that you have allowed us to gather tonight, Father. We thank you for this gorgeous day, Father. We are reminded of spring, Lord, and rebirth, and, of course, your Son's resurrection, Lord God. We ask blessings on our meetings tonight, Lord God. We ask that each member and each person in the audience be mindful of each other in the proceedings, Father. And we ask blessings on all of our workers for the parish, of course, our citizens in Ascension Parish. And we ask all these in your Son's holy name. Amen. Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to open the floor to public comments. If anyone wishing to speak, please fill out a card. We have several up here right now. Thank you. Do we have any two-thirds for the agenda? No two-thirds? We'll move along. I'd like to entertain a motion for acceptance of the minutes of the January 14th meeting and the February 11th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Valentine, second by Mr. Cullen. All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. We'd like to now have the drainage reports. Mr. Rue?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, I'm going to try to be brief on this, just to bring everybody up to date on some of the activities going on in your drainage department. First off, on the Henderson Bayou, everything is on schedule. They're doing the preliminary engineering, doing a lot of preliminary work, and later on in the meeting tonight, we're going to ask the commissioners to allow us to purchase a property where the pumping station will be located. The major part of CDM's activities is in the surveying and geotechnical analysis phases. Upcoming is a very important part of the evaluation, and that has to do with actually hiring a laboratory to do it. Pump intake and canal hydraulic modeling, which actually they'll build a model of the basin with the flood station and analyze it from a practical standpoint. And we're hoping that this will give us clues to how we can bring the cost down. We have all the faith in the world that this would happen. Based on the hydraulic modeling, we can bring the cost down to something more acceptable than what was estimated before. But again, in the Henderson Bayou, everything is on schedule, and again, we'll be asking for your permission to buy the property later tonight. The Law Ridge Levee improvements, the same there, is everything is on schedule. As predicted, we hope to have preliminary engineering on the extension toward the end of the year. Most of the activities has to do with surveying and permitting, Corps of Engineers permits. And on the permitting phase, they are 30% complete with that, and that usually takes the longest. So they are moving along very well in that project. And the existing levee, they already completed the survey and 100% field work. Has mostly been, is 100% completed on a topo survey, 25% on the permitting, 30% on the 60% design submittal. We feel really good on both those projects that they are going to come in on schedule later this year for preliminary design to take back to the board for permission to go to final design. The BKI and the Marvin Brook Pumping Station improvements, we're about in the roughly 7.5–8% completion of that project. That project is also on schedule to be preliminary engineering completed by the end of the year. Hopefully preliminary plans by May, modeling by May also. The full set of preliminary plans by September. Get the first set in May, the final set after approval is in September. So we'll be able to begin both the Henderson Bayou and the McElroy or the Marlboro pumping station improvements sometime. Final design by the middle of next year, toward the end of next year, and construction starting in the end of 2009, beginning 2010. And we're looking at both projects taking roughly a year to complete. So both of those projects are ongoing. In our in-house improvements, right now, of course, you know that Black Bayou is 100% complete, except for one little section that we have to go back and clear the bottleneck at one point, and with the exception of that, Black Bayou is complete. Bayou Francois, overall, Bayou Francois is 41% complete. Right now, we're just crossed 44 by ETEL and proceeding up Francois at that location. And Bayou Francois, of course, that's above, between 44 and 61 is 100% complete without, with the exception of moving some dirt at some of the locations. Bayou Northeast, the whole reach of Bayou Northeast from Black Bayou all the way to the end is about 50% complete. We're working from 2 points. We're coming up from Black Bayou, up Bayou Northeast. Right now we at DPW, coming up from that location. And also we are at 621 from the upper regions. So we're moving real quickly on that, ahead of schedule on that project. Mortar Burek Ditch, we're 31% complete. We're getting ready to move across 932 to continue that. We had it hold up for a while. Everything's been resolved, and we should be on that within a week or so. And after that, hopefully complete within 2 or 3 months. And again, I have the schedule. After that, we've got Henderson Bayou. We're going to take the bottom reaches of it, Smith Bayou, Bayou Ball, and Muddy Creek in line after these projects are complete. Everything is on schedule overall, and we feel really good at the schedule that we have and the ability to meet those dates. Our regular drainage, we did 3.2 miles of ditch improvement for this month. Right now, that's 77% of our monthly goal. We're a little bit behind. However, last month we exceeded our monthly goal by 23%. So overall, for this time, we're at the same point we're at last year. Of course, our goal is to actually exceed our performance from last year, and we're tracking it every month to see that we can not only meet what we did in the past, but actually exceed it. That's going real well. On the work orders, let's see. Weed control, we just started the weed control rotation in March. This is yearly our main time to begin rotation, and we start with a lot of spraying first to kill the vegetation just coming up and hitting some of the places that haven't been cut in a while, things we're discovering. Right now, the CSSI is about 22% complete with Bayou Conway. We did some shredding and some mulching from 44 to the Loosemore Valley subdivision. Now they went back and crossed over 44 to between 44 and I-10 on the mulching. Again, at 22% complete. We feel real good about in a couple of months they can complete, at least 3 months, get down to at least 941 or beyond that, and get most of Bayou Conway mulched. And also in regular drainage, some of the hot items that's in your packet. The Roche Ditch and Duplessis Road, we had to move a fence and redig and reestablish a drainage structure. The old Roche ditch coming off Duplessis Road. Terry Kelly ditch out by Blaine Road is finishing up. South Hodgson Road ditch, actually off-road ditch, is being worked on now also. That's been in our works for a while, and we're finally getting to resolving that issue. Black Bayou Road crossing at Wesley Place. This has been a hot item because of the subdivision at Wesley Place on Black Bayou Road. We're installing larger cover at Melissa Heights. and also they're going to be placing another culvert under Black Bayou Road. But we're going to start improving that lateral, that ditch from Black Bayou all the way to Black Bayou Road, and within a week or so we're going to start at Black Bayou coming all the way up. And that's really a bad drainage problem, always been historically, and hopefully what we do over there will benefit those people. Fox Ridge, Hunter's Trace, we reestablishing a ditch and opening up a ditch coming from a new development that they've been having problems with. Working on that right now, about 50% complete. Our cores units, it will be operational. That's our survey towers, 3 of them that we're going, actually a joint venture with DPW and with the planning department. That's going to be completed and in operational within 2 weeks. And we're looking forward to this because it can give us a lot of advantage for our surveying efforts and a lot of benefits for us, elevation checks and stuff like this. Manchac Harbor, we're still having problems at that location with the sloughing off and the erosion of the Manchac inside that subdivision, and we're very concerned about it. We gave the engineer that we tasked this a solution to the end of this week to come up with something that we can, some type of opinion or recommendation for us to proceed in rectifying that condition there. If not, then we're going to seek other help. We giving them a deadline because we have to do something. It's getting worse, and we have to have a solution. So they have a deadline by the end of the week to submit something to us that we can react to and solve that problem. That's basically it. You have a list of present work orders, just completed work orders, and the priority of work orders that's in line to be done between now and the next few months. If you have any questions with any of them, we'd be glad to try to answer them tonight, or our people are available in the morning at your leisure to meet with you or discuss any of the work orders in your district. Be happy to meet. And I can answer any other questions that you may have tonight. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Rue. Does anyone on the board have any questions about any specific topic? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move along to item number 6, the drainage ad valorem tax renewal, date of the election.
Mr. Chairman, the 5 mil tax, 10-year tax, it needs to be renewed this year. It expires in December 31st, 2008. And attached is the available dates that there are elections already scheduled. I met with Chief Financial Officer Gwen LeBlanc and also our bond attorney, Mr. Malcolm Dugas, this past week. I also met with the chairman, Mr. Kluwat. But in a meeting with Mr. Dugas and with the Chief Financial Officer, Gwen LeBlanc, who has been through these elections many, many times, it was our opinion that the best date for this, looking at the best chance of passing and also the money issue, is October 4th, 2008. This is a primary election. It should have a big turnout, and we think this is the most advantageous for the Commission for its passage of this millage. That's our recommendation.
Yeah, I'd just like to comment on that, Mr. Rue, that since we do represent the people, and we hope that the presidential election will be the most people out, and that give time to people to take a look at this drainage and what we've done, what we plan on doing for the future. And also, a lot of people don't know it, but there's a cost to an election, somewhere to the tune of $5,000 to $6,000 per precinct. And we're parish-wide on the east side, so you're talking about a lot of money. That when we do have an election with other entities involved, that we do a cost sharing. And so from that one stipulation, it's pretty much advantageous to have it within a general election.
I move to authorize October the 4th as a date for re-election renewal.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Mr. Valentine, second by Mr. Laura. Any comment?
I think you're right, Chairman. It gives the majority of the people the opportunity to vote on a tax renewal, and that's what we're here to do.
And Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
just
sir.
a clarification of this too. One of the reasons we chose is, again, I'm going back to experience, the people that have been around for a while advising me on it, is the fact that October 4th, if for whatever chance, remote as it might be, that it does fail in October, we could probably have another election in the 1st of January, February, 1st of the year, to try to get it back before the public. And we won't have that much lapse time of when the millage ends, December 31st, to when we have the next election. And it's also the primary election, which district attorney and a lot of other local officials will be running, City of Gonzales, and mayor and stuff like this. So we think that there's going to be a fairly large turnout at that time too. So it would be within the same, recommendation you have of putting it before the people, and we have a pretty good turnout. So that's, again, was our reason for our recommendation.
Yeah, and we should be able to do our due diligence to prove to the people of East Ascension that we're spending their money in the right direction. Any other discussion? All in favor? Yes, sir, Mr. Rubin.
I'd just like to read the motion so
Sure.
the Secretary can have it. It authorized October 4th, 2008 as the election date for the renewal of the 5 mil 10-year ad valorem tax, and authorize the bonding attorney complete the notification and submission process required for the placement of this issue on that election date. We're going to be coming back to you at the next council meeting or commission meeting with all the paperwork, resolution, formal resolution, everything else. But this enables him to prepare the documents.
Sure. We still have a motion, Mr. Valentine, second by Mr. Lohr. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. We'll go to item number 7, dump truck rental, major channel improvement project. Mr. Rue.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, we started outsourcing some of our dump trucks that we use on the major channel to haul the dirt away from the channel banks. We're having a hard time getting CDL drivers, qualified people for DPW and for the drainage department to do this type of work. And we found that it's probably better to outsource it. It's more feasible, and we can get the people in when we need them. When we don't need them, we don't pay for it. We got quotes off of this, and we had one person quote us $54 an hour per truck. The other 2 people, $55 per hour per truck. The other one, $65 per hour. And what we determined to do, we're going to be needing more than one person, and we like to have somebody in line in case that one person cannot deliver or be at our site when we need it. And we have the following motion as a recommendation, and that is to authorize the EADW to award task order contracts to TH Trucking, Montego Trucking, and Jaybird Trucking for the hauling of excavated dirt from the digging of major channels within the district for an hourly compensation of $54 per hour per truck. Vendors must supply CDL drivers, auto insurance, liability insurance, workers' compensation insurance, fuel, and other lawful requirements for this compensation. Total compensation shall not exceed $30,000 per truck, and task orders will be issued on an as-needed basis. The 2 first trucks needed at any time will be tasked to TH Trucking if qualifications are met. They had the lowest quote of $54 an hour. Now, all I'm going to work for the $54 an hour, but the first 2 trucks will be offered to TH Trucking. And if he cannot make it or qualify or have his trucks there on time, but then we can back up and automatically go to the other 2 truckers when needed. Also, we plan on using more than 2 trucks at any one time. We probably going to, if weather's good, we can be maybe having truckers at 2 or 3 locations. So there's a lot of work out there for everybody. And that's the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion by Mr. Bell,
Second.
second by Mr. Collin. Do we have discussion? Any discussion? Mr. Valentine.
Mr. Rue,
Yes, sir.
you made the statement that we're having trouble maintaining people with CDL license.
We're having a hard time getting people and keeping people with CDL license. Yes, sir.
How many do we have on staff right now?
I cannot answer that. I can give you the information tomorrow, but we are currently looking for, I would believe, 5 or 6 right now, CDL drivers that we could use. And we also encouraging other employees, specifically maybe even supervisors or other people that's not actually tasked with driving trucks, to go ahead and get the CDL driver license And if we get into a bind, we always have something that someone we can put on the truck.
How many trucks do we own, Bill?
Again, I cannot answer that specifically. We have a good many.
You understand where I'm going? I mean,
We
you know,
have
if
some-
we're going to idle trucks, and we have, I understand we may not have the amount of people, but you did some kind of cost analysis on this as far as.
Yes, sir. And in fact, if you really get down to it, and if you really look at the cost of fuel and employee benefits and everything, the employees by themselves is costing us in the $30 to $30 an hour range when you figure in all of their benefits. So when you're looking at the total cost of providing the truck, maintenance of the truck, and also fuel for $54, it's a very, very fair price.
So we would only use this on the major drainage canals possibly, and use our trucks for local.
For local and regular
minor
drainage. Regular drainage is really in need of these trucks and CDL drivers, and more than actually the major drainage. So it is. We looked at every point, and outsourcing this particular deal in this manner is beneficial to the parish.
That's all, Mr. Bill. Chairman.
Mr. Lambert.
That was my question.
Yeah, Bill, and just to let everybody know that anybody that runs any kind of business right now, they know that labor, skilled labor, is at a premium right now. We of course, being a municipality, limited with funds, and limited with where we can go with our business, because our business is only working for the folks of the parish. That I encourage you, though, to continue to try to get some of your folks within your ranks. I'm sure that there is some type of premium for the guy that does have the CDL versus the guy that doesn't drive equipment, and to continue to try to source that within your department, that we don't fall short. And I'm sure you've been working hard at that. So, is there any other discussion on this? Yes, sir. Ms. Benny.
Bill, excuse me, Mr. Bill, I'm assuming these other companies agreed to the $54 a truck?
Yes, sir.
That's all I have.
Anything else? All right, we have a motion on the floor. All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. We'll move along to item number 8, authorization of property, Henderson Bayou Drainage Project, levee floodgate pumps. Mr. Rue.
Yes, sir. In your packet is a list of property owners and the offer that was made to them and accepted by them. What we did, and what by law we have to do, we hire our own right-of-way agents and our own real estate appraiser that does the work for the Drainage Commission and for the parish. They're the ones that come up with the value of the property and give it over to the agent who makes the offer to the property owner. In this case here, again, we go through the list. There's 6 different tracks. The pricing is there. The total amount of 73.39 acres comes to $721,400. And again, this came from our appraiser, not from theirs. And it's based on good land and how much bad land is in each track, and it's adjusted accordingly. We need to proceed with this so we can go further with this project, and this hinges on us acting on this. And our proposed motion is to accept the proposed compensation as listed in attached documents and authorize the legal department proceed with the act of sales according to the laws of the state of Louisiana and the ordinances of the parish of Ascension.
Mr. Chairman, I'll gladly make that motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Lambert, second by Mr. Johnson. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir, Mr. Bell.
Yes, sir.
Just the 2 parcels on hold for CDM. Can you elaborate on that? Why are they holding up?
That and really it's actually not 2 parcels that we got purchased. This is 2 parcels on the other side, on the west, I guess the northwest side of the channel, that we're going to get a construction servitude for, so we can come in from Highway 933 from that side just for construction purposes. After that time, it'd be put back as it was, and we'll no longer have a servitude. That's the only thing that we got to negotiate. And we have a verbal agreement. It's really no problem, but we haven't got a written construction servitude on that. We'll come back to you with the cost of that temporary construction servitude, but it should be that much for that by that location and for that purpose.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. Mr. Rue, is this the end result here? Is this somewhere within the range of what we'd budgeted, we thought that we would be spending here?
Yes, sir, because we were kind of looking around $1 million for land acquisition. The fact of the matter is we wouldn't be needing 73 acres, but just the fact of where this is located, the configuration of the pumping station, the reservoir and that's going to be going with it, and the fact that a lot of these parcels go across Henderson Bayou, and by us coming in and taking part of it, we can be landlocking other parts of it, and the damages to this would be as much as us just buying the property outright. So that's why when we looked at it, we said we just go ahead and buy it, because we don't want to landlock some of the property and have to pay damages.
Yeah. And I guess it's within my review that we're going to be actually acquiring enough land to do the whole project, but we will have land that we will not be using for the project, but it's land that possibly could be mitigated later.
That's our intention. We want to look and see what kind of bottomland, hardwood, and also cypress units that we can get off of this unused property, and possibly form a small mitigation bank and use some of those credits.
Thank you, sir. Any more discussion? We have a motion on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We'll move along to item number 9, cost share policy of roads and bridges, for roads and bridges between the East Ascension Drainage and DPW.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, in the past, and this has been going on for a long, long time, basically on roads, if the road was coming through there and was going to be expanded, but the drainage structure under the road was adequate for drainage purposes, the road department would pay for the change out of the bridge or upgrade of the bridge or whatever. If, in fact, we saw where it was a benefit and we really needed to change that structure for drainage purposes, then we would cost share or pay for the project out of drainage money. What we propose now is policy memo number 9, road bridge cost sharing, which authorizes cost sharing with the Department of Public Works on all bridges on roads which have been accepted into the Parish Road Maintenance System with the following exception, and that's bridge replacements funded by the state or federal funds, as in the state off-system bridge fund. And what we're proposing is just to make the policy to cost share with the road department on all road bridges, parish road bridges. Well, we'll pay for the structure and they pay for the change out or the construction or reconstruction of it. And I think it's a good policy, and it shows that the DPW and the Drainage Department has always worked together, and we continually wish to do so.
Thank you, sir.
Make that motion.
We have a motion on the floor by Mr. Johnson, second by Mr. Shake Snyder. Any discussion?
Discussion, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Mr. Lohr.
Mr. Rue, my concern is just from a budgetary standpoint. I just want to make sure that I'm guessing the budget wasn't done with this in mind, and so I just want to make sure we're not enacting something that's going to come back and bite us in terms of holding us up on being able to do some roads or some other projects. I mean, if your discussions, you've had discussions with Bob, I guess, and everything.
Actually, this will help out the DPW on the roads more than drainage, to be honest with you. But what we're going to do, our motive from a drainage standpoint, is that when there is a bridge or a structure that needs to be removed or replaced, we're going to upgrade it. So in making a betterment, upgrading the thing, we feel that it is part of our responsibility to kick in a little bit of money to do so. But in all cases, we are going to upgrade the structure to a higher capacity.
Okay.
And we do not specifically have figured into our budget what that cost will be, but we'll come back to the commission and tell you what it is and make a line item adjustment to take care of whatever funds we anticipate this will be throughout this year.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Lohr. Any other comments? Yeah, I want to thank you, Mr. Rue, and it's just good business to everybody work together. And like I said, when we spend a lot of money on the roads, and whenever we can upgrade a crossing or something. It's only the right thing to do. We have a motion on the floor to accept the policy and procedure memo number 9, road bridge crossing sharing with authorized cost sharing with the Department of Public Works on all bridges on roads which have been accepted into the parish maintenance system with the following exceptions. The bridges that are in the bridge replacement funded by the state or federal funds, i.e. same as the state off-system bridge fund. And we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, for your information, I know the new members of the commission and council, the off-system, I think it's beneficial to understand that the off-system bridge program is a state-funded program, and we're participating in it, but you have to build up points. And because we put in a couple bridges in the last couple of administrations that went over budget with the state, that we're actually in the hole with the state. But eventually, we will build up a fund balance, and most of the bigger bridges that's on parish roads are in that system, and we will be getting funding from the state. Yes. We also hope that that Governor Jendo and the money he's getting for roads and bridges will build up that program and enable us to have funds to pull from. So again, that's our anticipation.
Sure. And per our conversations last week, you are working with Mr. Bob on that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. We'll move on to item agenda number 10, executive session. We'll step out for a second. We need a motion to move to executive session. We have a motion by Mr. Bell, second by Mr. Benny Johnson. All in favor? All opposed?
try to give them the golf cart and the dues.
How much you giving to people, honey?
Sit down.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we come back in the regular session.
We have a motion to come back in regular session. Do we have a second?
I'll second it, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion by Mr. Valentine, second by Mr. Bell. All in favor? Aye. This board is back in regular session. We'll move on to item agenda. I just want to let you know on item agenda number 10 that we had an update on the Roger C. Road Bridge litigation. Item number 11, Spanish Lake restoration presentation. Mr. Scott Nesmith or Mr. LeBlanc. And before we get started, I just want to let everybody know that Mr. LeBlanc is going to take a few short minutes, and we have a slide presentation that we're going to show, about 10 minutes. And then we have other speakers that are signed up to speak about this.
Okay, good. I'm Jay LeBlanc. I own approximately 2,000 acres around Spanish Lake, together with another group that Mr. John Barton represents. He owns 2,000 acres out there too. Beginning of this year, last year, we initiated a study to try to restore the habitat out there. All the trees were dying, and all the fish were out of the lake and what have you. And so we did an extensive study of the habitat, and we come to find out that there's a hydrology problem down there. And I have these maps over here. But anyway, if you can see this, what happens is this is Spanish Lake Basin, and this is Ward's Creek, Manchac, and Amite River. And when all this water comes down here to Bayou Manchac, it used to historically go into the lake. It was a reservoir for all these areas in here. But now the reservoir is being held full, so we don't have any storm water capacity in the lake. Also, as you can see, this goes all the way back to 1955. This is where Manchac is. This is Spanish Lake. The difference between the blue and the red line is your stormwater capacity for Manchac and the Amite River. Ascension Parish does not have any large reservoirs like this. The Spanish Lake Basin actually affects Ascension Parish more than it affects Iberville Parish. Anyway, from our studies, what we'd like to do is we gave Bill Rue a complete book of these studies, and we'd like for the commission to take a look at the situation. We'd like to get the water out of the lake so that we can grow our timber and also create a stormwater reservoir for the parish. Scott knows it's going to do a PowerPoint.
Thank you, Mr. LeBlanc.
This is a copy of the report. I think we've given a copy to Bill Rue. My name is Scott Nesbitt. I own Natural Resource Professionals. We're a wetlands and wetlands consulting group, and we were asked to do a study of the ecosystem in the Spanish Lake area. I'm going to try to get through this really quick because I know we only have a short period of time. I don't want to tie you up. There's a lot of information that this report has that we can't cover right now, and we're hoping just to put some ideas out there. I'm wearing a couple hats here. We are actually formally responding to the there's a proposed drainage project to put a ditch in, or to cut a ditch across a ridge in the Bluff Swamp to the kind of the corner of the Bayou Bro dredge channel, which we'll get to. We'll show some pictures of exactly where it is. And the idea would be that the lower Bluff Swamp area is they're receiving high water, and it would allow it to drain into the dredge channel. And I'm representing Lago Espanol, the mitigation bank. Mr. Buck Monroe has asked me to make this presentation and speak on his behalf and on the Dinkman family behalf. And they want to be good neighbors, and they certainly need all the help of the residents there on their property to look after it, and they want to be good neighbors. But there are some concerns about that proposed project that we want to present. We're not trying to be, obstinate or just or anything like that, but there are some serious concerns about cutting across that ridge, and that's what this presentation is about. The overview is the proposed drainage project will create large landowner liabilities and problems and may not be effective. That's kind of what we're thinking, is that there's a liability associated with cutting across this ridge. We have the large landowners, and what we say large landowners, between Lago, River Lake, which Mr. LeBlanc represents, and First Louisiana Resources, which bought the Alcatraz tract. It's about 10,000 acres in the Spanish Lake Basin. They are the ones that conducted this study. We didn't know what it was going to turn out to be, and they have some concerns about projects in that area. And the recommendation of this plan that we're going to kind of go over is to kind of reestablish the natural drainage in the area, and that looks like it would be a much better long-term solution to the problem. So that's kind of the overview from the landowner's perspective. The drainage problem: increased duration of flooding in Ridge Road area. The residents are becoming flooded on a more frequent basis. Our concern is there's a loss of flood storage between storm high water events. I'm assuming that that you'll see the frequency of flooding and the duration of flooding in this Ridge Road area seems to be getting more and more often, and there's a concern about having high water for a long period of time. Natural conveyances that went historically into the Spanish Lake watershed or into the Spanish Lake itself have been blocked by vegetation, by oil and gas activity, by roads and other activities in the area. There is overall an increased risk of severe flooding in the lower bluff swamp, and that's their concern, and we certainly understand that. I think we've touched on these. So the ecosystem problems that we're seeing in general from this study, these are the problems we're seeing within the 10,000 acres. Elevated water levels in the Sun Basin are the primary cause of significant ecosystem decline. Basically, 10,000 acres of forested land are in a very serious decline in the Spanish Lake area. There are some beautiful natural areas in the overall Spanish Lake sub-basin. We see them on TV. We can take tours. It is beautiful. There's some great areas. But in general, this 10,000 acres is going down pretty fast. The good trees aren't regenerating. The significant stand to the timber that has not been harvested, slow growth, elimination of species that have value. And in the Spanish Lake itself, it's silted in from lower velocities of the natural drainage. A lot of the fish habitat has gone down considerably. It's silted in, so it's a complete change of that aquatic ecosystem, and it's going to continue to decline within the 10,000 acres unless there's some kind of project that reverses that trend of the drainage projects that were started in the 1950s. I'm going to get to some slides here that will make it a little bit easier to see. I'm just going to go through the text right now. The proposed solution, I think, by the Ridge Road group, is to cut a new channel into Bayou Bro. Our concerns are that will require a structure to prevent backwater flooding from the elevated Bayou Bro dredge channel. We think that basically, on the average, looking at the gauge data, and I'll go over this on some slides, is the elevation of the surface elevation on average in the Spanish Lake Basin is 3 feet higher on average than it is in Bayou Manchac, which kind of reflects Frog Bayou, which somewhat drains the bluff swamp area. And the concern is if you dig a channel and you have to put in a flap gate or a sluice gate or something where you actually have to manually go and close the gate, you could end up bringing all that flood water, 3 feet of flood water, back into the bluff swamp, and then you've got the same problem that you got in the Spanish Lake area, which is you got a big storage capacity, and it's 3/4 of the way full of flood water on normal times, and then when you have a flooding event, because the opening is small to Manchac, then you don't have much flood storage for the rain event. And that's the problem in Spanish Lake, and we're concerned that you might bring that into the bluff swamp area if a ditch is dug. The other problem is that we can see as a concern is if you do dig a ditch and put in a water control structure, there's going to have to probably be a drainage servitude so people can access it. So the landowner is kind of concerned, will there be a servitude on his property? What if it's not maintained? Is there a budget to maintain it? What happens if nobody maintains the floodgate or the flap gate? Something happens, it breaks, it leaks. So there's just a concern about having that kind of structure on his property, on Lago's property. The proposed alternative is to reestablish natural drainage ways and to open water control structure at Alligator Bayou, except when Spanish Lake is at maximum capacity. And that capacity would have to be set by your drainage engineers. What's considered to be maximum capacity, whether it's 6 feet or 7 feet or whatever you set. When it's at that capacity, then the water control structure is closed. The rest of the time, the water control structure at Alligator Bayou is open. This is a historical aerial, and what you really see here, and the reason why we did this is it's a little bit hard to see up there, but basically you have, this doesn't work, doesn't project up there far enough, but basically you've got these natural drains. Here's a Ridge Road area. This is before they cut the drainage project, the ditches for the dredge channel, Bayou Bro and Bayou Paul. But basically, the flow went into Spanish Lake. It had a lot of velocity, pushed out through Alligator Bayou to the north, and it discharged into Bayou Manchac. And, at that time, there was probably a relatively small opening in the Bayou Manchac, probably not much bigger than it is right now. So, a bigger opening may help, but the truth of it is there's always been a relatively restricted flow there. The yellow area that you can't see all of is 1,500 acres of Lago Español that is within the project area that's proposed to be for the ditch to be cut. Now, what you see here, ringing the area here, is the dredge channel. It cuts the natural flow coming from east to west. It cuts Bayou Bro, Little Bayou, and other bayous with the spoil bank. And down here, well, this is I don't know what year this is, but it's probably in the 50s. There's I'll look on that and see what year that is on the map. But basically, 56. The flow that would come through these bayous during a stormwater event carried a lot of energy into a lake that pushed these natural channels to push the water up through Alligator Bayou. The sediments weren't dropping out so readily because there was enough energy in the water that it actually just scoured itself on out. And these channels have basically slowed that energy down. So what happens is not only does the natural bayou silt up, the dredge channel itself silts up. This is a 20-year average at Alligator Bayou. This is Bayou Manchac, the blue on the right. It's at about 2.5 feet, average over 20 years. There's two USGS gauges, one on the inside, one on the outside. We downloaded this data, and this is just a summary of it. On the inside of Spanish Lake, that represents an area that goes all the way back, that drains all the way to Point Claire and Plaquemine Point. Average elevation of the surface water is 5.5 feet. That's a 3-foot difference. That means that the glass of water is 3 feet fuller in the basin and has 3 feet less storage capacity during a rainwater event. And that's what we're concerned about. If you cut a channel between one to the other, you could be bringing in 3 feet of storm water into your bluff swamp area just by an accident if something happened. And that's why we don't think that's particularly a good idea. This hydrograph that Jay showed you, what's important here is this is almost 40 years of data year by year. Bayou Manchac goes up and down. It's the blue on the bottom. And what's important about this to note is Bayou Manchac goes up, down, very rapidly, fairly rapidly. But in Spanish Lake on the red side, what happens is you start storing stormwater back there for whatever reason. Maybe the gate's closed, maybe the dredge channel doesn't get the water out. There's lots of factors. Then you have a rainfall event. All of a sudden you have these elevated, prolonged flooding events up here where water is at between 5 and 6 feet. This short one here, I can't get the pointer to it. That's 3 years of elevated water over 5.5 feet and 10 years over almost 6 feet over on the very far right. And the reason why is the glass is too full of water in the basin. It's too full, more water comes in. But what's really interesting to me is Bayou Manchac really doesn't change. It's done this historically. This is the hydrograph it's done historically, and that's what Spanish Lake should look like too. Up, down, up, down, up, down. That's its natural function over the last 10,000 years. The red represents the elevated storage on a 5-year averages since 1955 to 1992. We have the rest of the data from 1992. We have it in the appendices of the book, and it's very similar to what you're seeing here. We didn't mean to cut it off at 92, but that's all we could download without having to get somebody else to find the rest of the data online accurately. But it reflects the same trend. What I wanted to show you here is everybody's probably pretty familiar with the Spanish Lake area. Everything that's within the pink, which is, I kind of got it right there, but too much coffee or Coke or something. Pink, all the way in between here, all the way across to here is 6 to 7 feet. Everything under here is lower. That water has been sitting in here for almost 30 years, flooding all of this area. Alka's property in the middle, which is First Louisiana Resources, has been having saturated conditions in there on average for almost 30 years. And what's happened is, this is the ecosystem decline that we're talking about. It's literally killing this area, and it's not going to turn itself around automatically. There's going to have to be some sort of overall basin-wide plan to assist with this, and that's what we're proposing in this project over here for Bluff Swamp, is we could start that process. Just for your information, I'm sure I'm singing to the church choir here. That straight line on the right is the dredge channel of Bayou Bro going north and south. That represents the end of a hydrology subbasin. The striped area is what drains and sits behind Alligator Bayou Weir. So it's not like this area is more developed and floods, and stormwater goes into Spanish Lake fast or anything, maybe a little bit, not too measurable. The problem is that it's just plugged up and it's holding water. So in summary, what we're saying is that the existing conditions have resulted in a degraded, unsustainable forest ecosystem within this 10,000 acres. Now, Lago Espanol has land both in the Ascension Parish and in Iberville Parish. Resource damage to landowners is extensive and well documented, and ecosystem damage is recognized by state and federal agencies. Summary, again, implementation, this is what we feel the report is saying, and we feel like would be a good step, would be the implementation of a basin-wide water management plan by majority landowners in the area, development of a comprehensive operation plan of water control structure at Alligator Bayou, reconnection of original drainage channels at Bayou Bro, Bayou Paul, and First Bayou. That doesn't mean taking out the dredge channel. That just means reconnecting the openings so that the flow can go unhindered into the Spanish Lake. And improve drainage, internal drainage, snagging and clearing of waterways that were natural flows in there that have become overgrown with buttonbush and other vegetation. And that's it. So, again, what we're asking for is we're objecting to the plan that's proposed primarily because we don't think it's going to really solve the problem. Also, there's some liabilities. It's a pretty tough permit to get, I think. I think there's going to be impacts to wetlands. Even though you may cut out in a non-wet area, you're still going to be bringing in trucks and have access. And all of this falls on the landowner as it does the parish. And so that's the concern. And we think we have a better plan in that we could start with Bayou in that area, reconnecting the natural flow through the area, and hope that would would satisfy the need of the landowners in that and Ridge Road. And with that, I'll close. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Nesbitt. We now have several folks that want to speak. First, we'll call Mr. John Barton.
Thank you, sir. My name is John Barton. I'm an attorney in Baton Rouge representing First Louisiana Resource. We support both Scott Nesbitt and Jay LeBlanc's statements here in that our timber, my client, First Louisiana Resource, bought the old Alcus cypress swamp area, and our timber is being damaged. And what the report says is that basically we need to open up the Alligator Bayou lock. We spent a lot of money on this report, and any of the factual data that we have we think is solid. Scott and our other engineer, Mr. Daniel Bollock, have both worked on the report, and the basic conclusion is the lock needs to be kept open except in flood times, and that will restore the natural ecology back to the swamp area and also help the timber growth. And our client has asked me to facilitate the drafting of a cooperative endeavor agreement between the two parishes, the Corps and the landowner, and that's what I would like to propose here tonight, that we're able to do that. The last cooperative endeavor agreement was entered into between Iberville Parish and Ascension Parish on 2002. We've met with both Mr. Rue and the Ascension Parish representatives in the Drainage District, and we've met with Iberville Parish, and I think it's a conclusion that nothing has really been done with this governmental agreement. What we'd like to do is propose another one. I'd act as a catalyst to meet with your various parish attorneys and come up with a management plan that's acceptable to both parishes. As you know, the growing season is upon us. Our timber is being damaged, and what we want to do is prevent that from occurring, at least particularly with the growing season starting, and that we don't want to have this on an ongoing basis. And I think we've tried to meet with Mr. Valentine several occasions. We'd like to meet with any of you gentlemen that want to meet with us, but our goal is to have another management plan in place very promptly. And I'll answer any questions you may have.
Do we have any questions?
If anyone would like copies of the old agreement, I don't know if you're familiar with that. But
Yes, would you please leave a copy with the secretary?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Bond. All right, next we have Mr. James Brown. I think it's Brown.
Yep.
First thing, I'd like to correct some things that Mr. Nesby said. You say I'm the one that worked on trying to get that ditch done, because my whole place goes underwater.
Sir,
But you want to
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
would you please direct you to the
Okay.
council, please,
All
sir?
right. Okay, he
We'd
said
love to hear what you got
there's
to
no
say.
cuts in that levee. There's 3 cuts in it already. No, 4 cuts in it already. Now, how is that damaging? Cutting this new cut is going to be deeper and go into the deep part of the swamp. And if you don't do something with Manchac, you can get all the ditches dug you want. Where you going to put the water when Baton Rouge water come up? You cannot open the locks until the Manchac go plumb down. So you bucking the wind now. If you dig the canal out, you dig what I'm talking about, or dig whatever you want to dig off of St. Gabriel, bring it that way. What are you going to do? What it's going to do is cover that ridge. And the bluff swamp has nothing to do with the big swamp. The big swamp where the majority of the water stands. Just to correct what you were saying, I'm not no engineer, but I've been back there 50-something years. I was there when they dug the canal. And that's what I'm trying to get straightened out. But when y'all look at it, look at all of it. Don't look at just what Iberville's starting to dig already. What we going to do if we sitting here and dug nothing and all that water come in here after a big rain? We're going to take it off. It comes all the way from LSU to Bow Fountain into Manchac, and then if you get a north wind, it comes all the way up Manchac. And you can't do nothing. You can't open the lock. We can't get no pumps. And I've been fighting and fighting, trying to get some pumps down there. We can't get a pump. But on this lower end, they got plenty of pumps. They want to buy new ones, and they got 4 down there. They don't run them half the time. But that's none of my business. I'm not concerned with that. I'm worried about the northern end of the parish. I've been living there 53 years, and they never dug one ditch on that side of the parish that I know of. Not the first one. They want to dig out the bluff swamp. That's fine. That'll help us. But when you go to surveying that bluff swamp, you look in the middle of it at the depth, and you look at Manchac where it's got to go out. You bring the locks down to 4.5 foot, and when you get to Manchac, the stable grade on it when it's low is 4.5 foot. So how you gonna let more water out? Y'all figure that out. I'm not no engineer, but I know what goes on. I bought my land in 3 days, an 8 or 10 inch flood, it was all gone. Now it's 3 months. I run a pump 2 weeks, day and night, when that levee broke down there, to keep the water out of my house. And that's what we've been fighting for years. And I don't know what can be done about it, but until y'all started to uphill and work downhill, you're never going to get the water out. They suggested going into the Mississippi River. That would be a nice idea. Dig old Gator out, Manchac. But there's too many houses there now. You'd have to go through the prison farm if you can get a permit to get to the river. And they get permission to put the pump. Thank you. That's all I've got to say.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate your comments. Next, we have Blame Petit.
How y'all doing? You doing all right?
All right.
I live in the same community Mr. Jimmy lives in. Been there 25 years, my entire life. Took a short break, 4 years at LSU. This actual basin is the reason I chose the path I chose in my education. I majored in environmental management systems, resource conservation. I spent 9 months rebuilding marsh in Port Fourchon and Holly Beach. I'm going to tell you, this basin and the ecological problems the firm is talking about is timber damage. It's not ecological in the sense that we're talking organisms, we're talking plant. They're concerned about timber. I understand that. That's their business. That's what they want. But I don't want you to look at the PowerPoint presentation and understand we're talking true ecological damage. We're not. It's a basin. It renews. It floods. It passes. It sometimes doesn't drain all the way out, but it never did throughout history. That's the idea of a basin. Manchac, Bayou Manchac will rise and fall. It's a moving channel. A basin is a storage unit by definition. It's what it will do. It will store water. An ecosystem has developed. It's there. It's not deteriorating. There's still organisms there. You can go anytime you'd like. Matter of fact, you can come with me. I'd love to take you because I know most of it like the back of my hand. Been there my entire life. Basically, the Ridge Road community we talk about, like Mr. Jimmy says, it floods. If you want to raise water, you do open up possibility of damage, property damage, displacing homes. It's going to happen that way. Truthfully, I don't understand the lock management program they're looking to go to. What I understand and my general understanding is they want to take it over. My own grandfather ran those locks for probably 10, 12 years before he passed. He was out there at midnight on Saturday. He was out there at 3 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. He did what he had to do to protect his community and to do his job. If we are going to look at a block management plan, it needs to include someone who cares about the community it affects. We can't just hand it over to someone and say, well, you know, I understand you want to grow timber, but let's flood these people out while we let our timber grow. It takes precedence. I'm sorry. I know it's property, and I know they bought it, and I know they want to make a profit. The School of Renewable Natural Resources, which is forestry, is right across the parking lot from where I got my degree. I totally understand their line of thinking, but in this case, I'm sorry. People take precedence. That's all I got, guys. Thanks a lot for hearing me.
Thank you, sir. All right. We have one more speaker. Mr. Frank Bonifaz.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Frank Bonifay. I'm the chairman of the board of Bluff Hump Wildlife Refuge, one of the first mitigation area of the Spanish Lake Basin. And fortunately, I was wise enough to go to the people who knew. It was not all the charts and averages. It was actually older people who had lived there for generations. And by being conscious enough to look at Jimmy Brown, R.D. Smith, Kermit Bro, to know the history and the function of the area. I have information that through the years of living in the basin, the last 25 years, that the function and the flooding cycles have occurred for a specific reason. Here's an aerial map of the mitigation area. And of this mitigation area, we have to the west is the Mississippi River, and to the south is the salt zone, the old oil field, and to the north here is Alligator Bayou. Alligator Bayou drains the Spanish Lake Basin, and there is a levee along the Alligator Bayou, the Roe Bayou straight line here. To the east is the Bluff Swamp. The Bluff Swamp drains into the Broad Bayou Lawn, and the Spanish Lake Basin drains into Alligator Bayou Lawn. Unfortunately, the lots are only 5 foot in circumference, and we've been working with you guys, the drainage board, for a while now. This is a mitigation plan to enhance the hydrology and restore the natural function, but based on the factual information of experience. And of that experience of the Mississippi River flooding in the spring prior to the levee still in and out, that occurred for 4,800 years when the basin, when the Mississippi River changed course and the basin was made. The problem is today is that we have had in the past massive clear cutting. Now as it floods and drains and the lots are not large enough for the large events that occur, man check is high, we can't drain. And I want to reiterate how proud I am to be part of the Ridge Road community. Who better to protect the land than the people who want to protect their home? And not only do they want to protect their home, they count the overcup nuts for the deer. They care about the land. Now, to drain the swamp completely, even the alligator bayou lock would kill fish, crustaceans. It is not the natural function. And furthermore, the gentleman who's representing the Alpha Company, there's 2,000 acres at the fall. I believe they were cut prior to them finding that, and it was not selected cut, it was clear cut. When you clear cut, there's no steam to select that. And of course, you can imagine 2,000 trees being cut, the absorption rate of these trees is completely lost. So you're in a swamp, and when you cut these trees that absorb massive gallons of water underground, you're going to have a problem. Now, the levels have been managed by Mr. Roy Titi, who I have witnessed come home at 3 o'clock in the morning to make sure that we didn't flood. Now, these people care about not only the community, but the animals, the fish, the crustaceans. It's an entire function that we must protect. And as they have protected it, then Roberto and then Keith Delahome. As we have seen these levels kept below the banks, and it does take time to come out of that little 550 comfort hole, it's been managed to keep the water off the land that I have witnessed. I am proud of the management, and you could not hire a man to be conscious 24 hours, 365 days a week, and a meteorologist would be much better touching to foresee the protection of the land, the trees. And the last I want to talk about is, oh my Lord, we do control of the law through a management plan that cares about one item or appears to care about one item and not the community. We must always manage our own loss and our watershed. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. Anyone wishing to comment? Mr. Valentine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Certainly appreciate all the information that was brought to us tonight. We'll correct one thing. Mr. J. Paul LeBlanc did call me last week at the first attempt. I have been the parish councilman there for 4 years, and that's the first time I had a contact with Mr. Paul dealing with this situation. I was out of the state at the time and wasn't able to meet with him, but I certainly appreciate him trying to get in touch with me for tonight. So I can't speak too much except from their presentation. And one thing I did glean from that presentation is the fact that they are concerned about timber and the price of timber and growing timber. And one of the things that we have to understand is we have had 30 years of I guess, a control structure at this point. It has worked. Mr. Jimmy is right. I mean, the one time that we sandbagged the road, and the sandbags gave way, and we flooded that area, was when he had to help save his house. And if I'm not mistaken, a lot of people worked to help save everybody back there, and I think they managed to do that. We certainly don't want to get in that situation, but one of the things that this drainage commission had done last year was to get a plan up on to dredge canals, to get a plan on replacing the locks at Frog Bay Inn, to replace the locks at Spanish Lake, and it's just very ironic. And I'm not going to say it didn't happen previous to my becoming a councilman, but we really never heard anything from Iberville Parish, and the first thing we hear is because we want to make trees grow so we can cut the timber. So I got a problem with that. So I'm willing to work and listen to everybody's ideas, but we need to keep the focus of the fact that we have people that live in this basin who want to protect their livelihoods and their homes, and we do want to protect the educational value and the ecosystem that thrives out there. I'm pretty proud of Blaine and his situation and his. I guess we could salute him from going. I guess living back there all these years, going through our system and graduating and becoming part of that situation back there. That does us proud. So I appreciate the comments tonight, but I guess I would like to ask Mr. Chairman, and I certainly don't want to take up everybody's time, but if Mr. Rue has any comments dealing with this, I know he's had some discussion with
I had planned on giving Mr. Rue his time,
right.
sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Rue.
Yes, and well, number one is our prime responsibility. Your prime responsibility is drainage within the parish and parish residents and structures. So that's our concern, is that to protect the people in our parish, no matter where it is, and in this particular case, the Ridge Road people and people along Bluff Road. That's primary. Now, if we can solve that problem at the same time, benefit the ecological system in that area, we're fine. We'll do it. But we're in negotiation talks with Mr. Nesbitt and the people with the timber on how we might better negotiate how we can drain that basin behind Mr. Brown's house and at the same time benefit them. There are some ways of doing it, and we're in discussion to do that right now. And I think this is a possibility we can come up with something. With the lots and the Alligator Bayou Road, it's in the long-range plan, capital improvement plan, to do something with this area, this flood basin, primarily because your responsibility is flooding. And the most chance of somebody flooding is the failure of that, if the road, actually, if the road functions, the Alligator Bayou Road, Bayou Paul, going in Livingston Parish, function as a levee. We need, and part of our plan is to reinforce that to an actually driving pilings down or something to secure that, so we will not have a breakage in that levee system like it was during Allison. Primarily, that's what we have to do. Now, we're working with the Corps of Engineers. They have an ongoing study right now, sponsored by the Pontchartrain Levee District, to come up with a plan to both provide flood protection and also benefit the ecological system in that area. We're waiting on some of that information to come back. What we plan on doing is working with all the entities, Iberville Parish, Mr. LeBlanc, Corps of Engineers, the people on Ridge Road, Mr. Bonifay, everybody together. Once this information comes in from the Corps of Engineers, sit everybody down and come up with a true plan that everybody can buy into. In the meantime, though, we're going to be working with Mr. LeBlanc and Mr. Nesbitt in trying to come up with a plan to drain that basin, to keep water from just sitting in that one place, without, if we can do it, without cutting a cut through that ridge if possible. But again, we're in negotiation with them on this. So we're involved, been involved. It's proceeding. It's not going to be something that can be solved tonight or in next month or 2 months. We have to wait until all the information come in, pull everybody together, because everybody have to buy into it, because everybody's responsible for getting the permits and signing off on it. And we're actively involved with this process.
Thank you, Mr. Rue. I'd just like to recap on the fact that, you know, within the drainage district, we have a huge task on hand and have had for the past 20-something years. Trying to, I personally was raised on the swamp on the other end of the parish, and glad to see pumps. So, you know, we're going to work hard, and I believe you've got a lot of things in going right now between parish government and drainage and everybody. We'll try to work something out here. But we've digested a good bit of stuff tonight, and it'll take us a little while to see how it all works out, and I appreciate everyone that came up and speak. Any other? Mr. Shakespeare.
Real quick, and I appreciate it. Mr. Jimmy and I had gone out there with the people and spoke with them. And the big problem is just getting the water down eventually. As they say, it's months and months and months now that the high water is coming. Bill, at one time we had tried to arrange a meeting to take a look at getting some of the overflow when it's a certain point, and Manchac at a certain point, to go over to New River. Is that still being looked at?
That was a suggestion that we took to the Corps of Engineers at the last meeting that we had. The Corps of Engineers, again, this is the same study that's sponsored by the Pontchartrain Levee Board. They're going back and looking at the suggestion of some type of flood protection in Manchac itself, and also an overflow structure that can, if needed, can be let into our drainage system, our pumping system, to allow it to come through that area and be pumped out of the channel through our McElroy pumping station. And if that is something that is feasible, funding for extra pumps or whatever it might take at McElroy to increase the capacity to drain that basin, if needed, might be available. But again, this is just conceptual. We are looking at it, they are looking at it, and we're going to throw everything on the table and see.
Yeah, and this is not something that they're looking at that was throwing extra water. This was at a time, it was probably 2 months after rain events when everything is down in Ascension Parish, and I know they had some previous old ditches that went through, and the overflow went through New River, and at that point, if we could let some of the relief for the people there, we want to just continue to study it as another thing, and it wouldn't harm. In fact, that was one of the comments they made about New River. They needed some more chances to have flow into there to try to refresh New River also. So it could serve two purposes for us. If we looked at that, that could be also an alternative for us. So I'd like to continue to do it because I know we did have some meetings set up and they were canceled because of the hurricane and everything, and we continued after that.
Thank you, Mr. Shakespeare. Any other comment? Thank everybody. We take it all under advisement. I just have a little something I want to thank some of our Ascension Parish workers that's here tonight for coming. I want to thank the parish president for coming, and also I want to wish Mr. Dennis Cullen a happy birthday today. And I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned by Mr. Lohr, second by Mr. Johnson. All in favor? We're adjourned.